I'm hopeful, regardless of the outcome. Boost the positive energy without one. Sorry about the jab, I'm on a holy field. I'm bearing fruit, but demons try to eat them like Yoshi meals. I pissed them off the Batman like Falcone deals. Jungle full of predators, I know how Mowgli feels. So I got the fire, refuse to live in fear. I can spot suppliers, eating fresh drugs. Call me private label.
Oh yeah, welcome to episode 254 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is My Passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living, and sometimes even the paranormal. But yeah, that's not going to be today. Today's one of those impromptu episodes that, oh yeah, Granny Major's in the house. We got Bailey. We got, I'm not sure how to pronounce the Hygie Homestead. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. But hey, y'all, anybody coming in right now, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. Tell everybody we're live. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com. Turn that simp into a pimp. Bam! Heaven's Harvest, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Handle all your preparedness needs yourself. Anything you can't source, check out Heaven's Harvest. All right. Also, Redemption Shield. Look, y'all, you know me. I talk about grounding like nobody else you ever see. And just for all the viewers out there, because you may not believe me, I am G'd up from the feet up. I'm always grounded. Check this out. Bam! Bare feet right here on this grounding mat. You know why? Because I don't want my nads being Kentucky fried from all the EMFs going on around me. That's why I stay as grounded as I possibly can all day long. And we're going to be talking a lot more about biohacking in the future. Don't worry about that. Well, I heard another word for it, but we'll come to that later. EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Remember, the number one threat to your home, take it from me, a 27-year IBEW journeyman electrician, the number one threat to your home, it might be an EMP these days, okay? But I guarantee you, no matter the times, the number one threat to your home is lightning. And nobody out there has a better guarantee than EMP Shield. That's why none of my advertisers, y'all, none of them reach out to me. They're on this show because I know the products work and I reach out to them and I try to get y'all the best deals. That's why EMP Shield, no, it ain't cheap. But if anything downstream of your house gets blown up or Kentucky fried, they're going to handle it for 25 G's. And you don't have to go through the nonsense that I'm going through right now, being well, people like to call me a victim, but basically a target, that's what I'm going to call myself, of Hurricane Helene that destroyed part of my house. And I'm over here fighting with this insurance company. They're trying to tell me, oh, well, we're not sure that it happened. You mean to tell me all this sheetrock buckled because I got up there with a spray gun? No, we were having water gun fights in the house. Well, anyway, with EMP Shield, you don't have to deal with none of that garbage because you wouldn't even have to call your insurance company. They're going to cover you for 25 G's. That's why I reached out to them. And if you need one, a Harvest Right freeze dryer. Look, I know people get on me saying, oh, you spend too much time talking about your ads. Well, folks, somebody's got to put bread on this table. And I want to thank all the people out there, each and every one of y'all. Even I know that times are tough and you can't necessarily buy the things we talk about, and I get it. But look, more than anything, what I'm asking each and every one of you to, and I'm going to ask you for this. I'm asking. Please give us your prayers. It costs you nothing, and it's the most valuable thing you can give me and my family. Because we're being attacked 30 ways to Sunday, folks. I know I don't talk about it much on here, and I definitely don't do it on YouTube, but we are getting hit 30 ways to Sunday, and all I'm asking you for right now, it's more valuable than anything else you could offer me, and that's your prayers. So please, y'all, because Michelle and I, we pray for y'all every single night. All right, with that said, look, I'm not going to fool around because I got a guest on. She's a friend of mine, and her husband had... he was out a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how much of that we're going to get into, but she is one. Granny, you're going to want to stick around because I think you're going to want to know this sister. She's wicked smart, y'all, in the best way. She's like one of my consiglieres, like they have in the mob, the person, your wartime consigliere, when you find yourself in a bind as a mob boss, the person you call. Well, she's one of those people that when I'm in a bind and I can't figure my way out of things, and she's done it recently, I put that little bat signal up in the air, and she comes a-running. So with that said, we're going to go to Niti, spell N-I-T-I. For some reason, I'm having a technical difficulty. Niti, you may be muted on your end. Okay, I think there we go. Are you with me? Holler if you hear me.
I hear you. I hear you.
How you doing?
I'm great. How's everybody doing out there?
Everybody's doing great. Now, from the last time you were on this show, we got a way more. I mean, our podcast audience is growing like nobody's business. And once again, folks, if you're just now getting in, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up so YouTube knows to immediately start suppressing us like they always do. But our biggest audience is always in the podcast realm. So, Niti, every superhero, and you are one to me, has an origin story. So take as much time as you need to tell all those new people out there that don't know who you are a little bit about yourself.
Well, wow, that's loaded. I
You take as long as you need because honestly, you have a compelling story, and I think a lot of people out there would resonate with it.
All right. Well, I am here, I guess, right now, because we had a daughter, Meenakshi, who, when she was 2 years old, she was diagnosed with a neuroblastoma. So it was a cancer that ate all of her sphenoid bone just underneath her brain. And this bone is the rock formation underneath the brain that supports everything. So the infrastructure had been eaten up by the cancer. And later, of course, I realized later, hindsight's 2020. What I was able to learn was that her MMR was actually what caused her cancer, her MMR vaccination. And I mean, it's been 16 years since we lost her, but not before we actually cured her cancer. Curing the cancer was one part of it. She gave us a lot of education. She taught us about how food is medicine. And interestingly, the thing that cures cancer is meat. It's not plants. Plants are medicine. That's a different story. But Billy, you use plants for medicine all the time. You use plants for remediation all the time. But if you're taking plants, if you're eating plants every day and it's supposed to be medicine, wouldn't, like when we were coming up, medicine was poison if you took it every day. Right?
That's a good point. Yeah. If you took too much of it, definitely.
Right. So these days, when we were coming up, nobody took medicine every day. There was no such thing as that everyday medicine. In fact, vitamins weren't really a thing because that was something that came out in the 80s with the Jane Fonda thing, and then later, if you pay attention, they came up with these what do they call it? The
Antibiotics?
not antibiotics, but sorry. Okay, so they had vitamins, they had minerals, nowadays they have, the superfoods. They didn't have all that stuff when we were coming up, right? It was just medicine.
Yeah.
Right? And you just didn't take medicine every day. It wasn't a thing. Nowadays, you got people walking around and they're promoting Advil every day, allergy medicine all the time. They want you to take some kind of pill all the time, and it's supposed to be fine. When we were coming up, there weren't pharmacies on every corner, so this is something that a lot of people probably, I would say right now, if you're 50 and under, you don't remember this. Like you don't know. And we're old enough to know. I think you are. I know I am. I'm old enough to remember a time when the only pharmacy that we had, I grew up in Charlotte. So in Charlotte, the pharmacy was just down by the hospital. There weren't pharmacies.
We have one pharmacy in my town. Yep.
Yeah, it was the pharmacy was by the hospital. There was not, there weren't pharmacies everywhere. So it wasn't a thing to take a pill all the time. And if you told somebody, oh, I'm going to be a couple minutes late getting there for the dinner party because I got to swing by the pharmacy. If you say that to somebody today, they would be like, back then they would have said, oh my God, is everything okay? Like, it was like an urgent emergency. But nowadays everybody's like, oh yeah, like you're just swinging by wherever to pick up something and it's not a big deal. But back then it was a really big deal. So I'm called Niti the pharmacist, FARM, because I started, I learned from our experience with our daughter how to use food, how to use regenerative meat as medicine. And I've been helping mothers and children ever since then, my entire work is to reestablish the small family farm food system. And that was my daughter was the catalyst for that. And that was how I met you. I
Yeah.
met you because of the permaculture, and that's how I know anybody in this world, I'd say. And that's how we started getting to know more of the radically self-reliant people, because of the work that I was doing with farmers, and specifically regenerative farmers. I mean, my mentors are like, Alan Savory and Joel Salatin. And Alan taught me something really important. And that was that, once you create an institution, then it no longer behaves as a living man. It just takes off and it becomes the corporatocracy. And so he always was warning me about the institutions. And, I started this food church here on North Carolina because I needed a way to be able to help people on scale who had questions, help families on scale who had questions about how to use food as medicine. And for me to be able to try to scale that up, I needed to be able to have a voice. And it was, what I learned real quick was that everything that I was saying was against the law. It actually was illegal. It wasn't against the law. It was illegal. And now what I've learned is that there's a difference between legal and lawful. So, this is a much bigger conversation, and we're not going to go that way today. But I wanted to introduce your audience to my flag back here.
Oh, hang on, Niti. Before you go there, I want to just point out, because you unpack so much, folks. She is so doggone. When I'm sitting down talking to Niti, whether we're co-speakers at conferences or whatever the case may be, when we're in our private spaces and we're just kind of sitting there talking in like the speaker's lounge or whatever the case they have there, man, she'll be dropping tactical nukes of information out there. And folks, y'all got to know. I mean, as she gets a little more comfortable on here, don't be surprised if some crazy stuff. I mean, when I say crazy, I'm saying it's going to sound crazy to the uninitiated, but she knows her stuff, y'all, and she is wicked, wicked smart in so many different ways. But you know what? You just made me think of something of profound value when you were talking about, making the comparison between meat and vegetables and stuff like that, and then poison and whatnot. Well, poison in right quantities, certain things don't become poison until you get over a certain quantity. For example, out where I run my cattle, my sheep, or whatever the case may be, there are poisonous things all the way around these animals. They are surrounded 365 by things that would kill them if they were to eat them in sufficient quantities. Well, guess what? I have never, in my experience, ever seen an animal eat something that will kill it when it had availability of the things it knows it should and could eat. The only time you'll ever see an animal overindulge on poison is when they're being starved or in their pasture where they shouldn't be in the first place. Well, maybe we as humans ought to be taking a cue from that. So, okay, I had to get that out there, but I want you to go back to this flag that you have behind you that looks very, very unique.
Mm-hmm. So this, friends, is our original American peace flag. And I want you to pay attention to a couple of things. So do you notice how the stripes are up and down?
Mm-hmm. I just saw one on a guy's hat this last weekend, but yeah, drive on.
Mm-hmm. So instead of what you're accustomed to, what you normally see is what's called our war flag. So that flag, when you see the stars, when you see the bars like horizontally, that is when the men are down because they're bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
When men are bleeding, the stripes are horizontal. When men are standing, they're up and down. This is our peace flag that people haven't seen. This flag has not been flown since before our supposed civil war, which was actually not a war. It was a mercenary conflict.
I would agree.
That's a whole different conversation we can't get into today. But what I want everyone to know is this is our actual peace flag. And we have been at peace since the Revolutionary War. So everybody can just go ahead and receive that.
Okay.
We have been a nation at peace since the Revolutionary War. And every single war since the Civil War has been a mercenary conflict.
No arguments here.
If you come to my channel on YouTube, then we have an entire we're teaching about what is actually happening. And how did I figure this out, guys? That's what's funny. The way that I figured this out is I was trying to figure out, because of everything that happened with my daughter, because of the ways that I was working with these parents and how I was trying to help other moms and dads like save their children. All I've ever been trying to do, Billy, is save the babies. Like that is the only mission, is to save the babies, And what's been going on is that I, in that process, had to stand up against the USDA and the FDA and the CDC, who were coming for me just because I was trying to teach mothers how to use meat as medicine. And that was it. And so while I was teaching this and being accused of everything from making claims and, trying to murder people with a ribeye, a regeneratively raised ribeye, not the crap in the store. I'm talking about, the way you're raising your livestock, the way we honor nature, the way we honor the hoop. I mean, if you're honoring the hoop and you're raising livestock with love and respect and allowing them, to graze properly and be 100% on pasture, then, a lot of folks say you can't marble a beef on grass. Well, yeah, you can't do it in 18 months, friends. And you can't do it in 2 years. And you can't do it in 3 years. And you probably need 10 years. Yep, 10 years. They want you to believe that beef is going to get tougher or whatever other nonsense. But this is lies. This is lies and immorality. And the other thing that I talk about is how the truth aligns with morality and how the lies align with immorality. And morality is not relative, friends. Morality is 100% objective. And the way this works under universal law or under God's law or under natural law is that for every time that you tell the truth, every time that you walk in the truth, every time that you operate in truth, you're pushing a domino down this way. Imagine a big giant domino as big as I am, and a whole bunch of them like kind of around me. And if I push one this way, it's going to go around, right? And it's going to come back and hit me this way, right? And when it does, if I'm telling the truth, if I am operating in my highest moral compass, I'm going to push it this way. It's going to come back and it's going to be good. But if I lie, it's going to come back and it's going to be negative, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem is the time that it takes for these dominoes to fall, by the time it comes back, how do you know? How do you know what it was about if you're not really paying attention? Well, I'll tell you something. When my daughter died, and I had to find my way out of this, I'll call it the depths of hell. The first thing that I had to do to be able to come out of that was to be honest with myself. And I believe that most of us aren't really being honest with ourselves. And this is a really hard thing to do when you have been brought up with them teaching you two very bad things that they teach us in school. One is that the truth comes from authority. And two is that we have to be politically correct. And I'm going to tell you something. Political correctness, what is politics? Let me break it down for you. The etymology of the word politic is poly, which means two or more, and tick, which is a blood-sucking parasite. Okay, so two or more blood-sucking parasites is not something I do. I don't do politics. Okay, I am not an actor. I am not I'm not an actor. I'm not being paid or coerced to politic. I don't do politics. Okay, and I don't do political correctness. But one of the things that I had to do if I wanted to come out of my grief was I had to be honest with myself. And that was really, really tough, Billy, because I had to just sit myself down and say, you did this. I did this. I allowed somebody to tell me that I need someone else to tell me if my daughter is okay. I need someone else to do a well check on my daughter to tell me if she's fine. I need someone else to tell me how to take care of my daughter, my heart. I have someone else. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I allowed someone to tell me what was better I let them make me believe that what they were doing was better than what I knew myself about my own heart, about my own daughter. I will never do that again. But that was the hardest thing, was that I was the dummy who took my children to the pediatrician's office when nothing was wrong with them, when they were born, when they were perfect, when God made them perfect and gave them to me, gave me this beautiful gift that was totally perfect. And I let someone make me believe that I wasn't a good mother if I wouldn't take them to go let some authority tell me if they were okay or not. And it is my encouragement for anyone out there right now who is a mom, all the grandparents out there, if you can encourage your young parents, that you have out there, they must know that they have the answers. It is within them. It is infinite intelligence is speaking to us all the time. You might call it the white light of Christ or whatever you call it. I don't know. Everybody has a different thing, whether it's God or source or whatever it is that you believe. But here's what I know is that we have infinite intelligence speaking to us and through us at all times. That's what I know. And I don't need another man to be my king and make me believe that I don't know what my daughter needs. Okay. I don't need that because God is my king. And I don't know if you decided to choose God as your king or man as your king, but I choose God. God is my king. And if God is my king, then I don't need another man to tell me if my daughter or my son is okay or if I'm okay. Guess what, friends? I just know that I am okay.
Well,
And
Niti, I hope you've given yourself over these years some grace, and I'm going to tell you the reasons why. Now, first of all, you got to share your link, or these people are going to eat my lunch right now, because whenever I see this many people blowing up my phone and everything else, we got to stop right here. Tell everybody how they can find you, because I'm getting so many amens, I can't even keep up with it. So I got to stop you, because I can't keep spieling this question. I'm trying to pay attention, but I can't be picking up this phone telling everybody, okay, well, here's how you get a hold of her. Stop right now. Tell everybody how to find you.
Sure. You know what I'll do is I'll post, I have a link tree. I'll put it right here.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people right now that are listening in the audio version, and they're out doing their chores or whatnot. This is going to come out.
And I can't even paste nothing in here. If I put it on the private chat for you, can you paste it in there? But I'll also say it.
You know who you're talking to. I'm the world's biggest Luddite. I can bear it. If Michelle didn't set this computer up right now, you and I'd be talking over a phone. So go ahead and tell everybody, and then we'll have Michelle link it in the show notes when it's all said and done. But you got to tell everybody where to find you, because they're wondering, where do I get this flag? How do I get their link? Because so many folks are like, okay, man, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay, if you go to Food Church at link go to Linktree and then just punch in Food Church, and it should just come up, because it's just Food Church, not spaces, not a whole lot of anything, just Food Church.
Food Church, and they can find you.
Yeah, if they do that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but when I punch it up, it comes right on up, and then if you click on the link, then it tells you how to find my podcast, how to, coach with me, how to join my newsletter or whatever,
Yeah, but Niti, let me go back a little bit. I know you and I had a different set of topics or whatever we're going to talk to, and we'll get to that. We'll swing to it in a minute, but what you currently do is so incredibly profound. But I hope you've given yourself grace, because you've done what a lot of people will never do, that in the face of a tragedy like that I can't even begin to imagine, nor do I ever want to know what that must be like. It turns you. There was a guy with a whole lot of sense that once said, you're either an activist or an inactivist. Either way, you're involved. And good night. I was talking to your husband what was it, a week ago he was out this way. Maybe we can get to that in a little bit. Maybe it was a week, maybe it was 2. I'm not sure, but all the days seem like Monday as of late because I've been working so much. But you know, I was like, man, of the 7 billion people on this planet, the one person I am not going to be pissed off, have pissed off at me is your wife, Niti. Because honestly, if she's on your trail, nephew, you better just go ahead and put your hands up because, like, for example, and I'd like to drift into this a little bit because Niti, and we can swing back to this because, folks, she wears so many doggone hats, it would blow your mind. So I wanted you to know about the food church, and I needed you to know a little bit about her background because she wears so many doggone hats, and she has helped thousands in the work that she's now doing right now. So in the space of her own tragedy, which would crush most people to the core where they never really function ever again, it's turned her into an activist on steroids in the most positive way. And like me, she could not care less about some political correctness. If you can't tell, she's brown like I am. So yeah, Niti ain't giving 2 fat rats about, what anybody's thinking, because at the end of the day, the truth should stand for itself. Now, with that said, when this thing started going off in North Carolina, I found myself, remember, folks, I told y'all I was in a bind. I couldn't find a lab that would help me out. I couldn't find anybody that could do any testing. And I know a lot of folks out there. And I put up that bat signal, and then out of nowhere, bam, who shows up? Niti. So Niti, just so you folks know, she's on the other side of the state. I'm on the western North Carolina. She's in eastern North Carolina. And
well, central. I'm actually right outside of Raleigh, you guys.
Well, from where we are out here in the west side, you guys are all,
Yeah, they're just over that way. It's like, I hear you, Billy.
Yeah, you're closer to the coast. So she's one of them city slickers on the other side of the state. Not really, but I'm just kidding around. So I found myself in a bind. I didn't know what to do. And then, of course, Niti knows everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. And so, Niti, you called me up and said, hey, what do you need? And I mean, folks.
Billy goes, I need choppers and guns and authority. And I was like, okay. And so I made a phone call and we got you choppers. We got you some guys. We invoked some land law. And, and that's what we did because this is a land grab, friends. These people are liars to the end. And I started sending you evidence because you were saying, well, there's no, we need, I said, I got evidence. We have evidence because there is absolutely no doubt. We know 100% that this was a pre-planned genocide that is underway. And we also know that.
You mean in the hurricane, right?
Yeah. I mean, this was 100% targeted weather warfare. And I sent you several links to show the evidence of the cloud seeding. We even have, that vermin Cooper. He is, useless.
You're talking about Governor Cooper. For those that don't know, that's our so-called governor of North Carolina. That polecat came in here to Marshall, North Carolina saying, oh, everything's good. The test results are blah, 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 blah. Well, Niti had a different idea. So she sent a whole gang of legit scientists out here to come do some serious testing. Right, Niti?
Right. These people are, first of all, what's going on? This is what a lot of folks really need to comprehend. And this audience should be able to hear what I'm saying. Okay. Because if you comprehend that, the USDA and the FDA and the CDC has done everything that they can to make sure we don't have, local custom meat processors, then, and why, okay? Because if you had access to that, you would have such powerful medicine and you would not have any reason not to be well. Okay. And instead they got everybody on cakes, which is crystallizing, our power, our third eye, because this is how they actually dumb everyone down and make everyone, I mean, it's, they got to keep us in the programming. All right, Billy, they got to keep everybody in the programming, and everybody needs to get with the program, right? Get with the program, their program. And we are not participating. We're not going to participate in lies and immorality. We are here working for the truth and on the truth, and we walk on the truth. And so first of all, weather warfare is 100% unlawful. Okay. And the fact that they did it and we have evidence for it, that they're, when you invoke land law, Billy, I don't know if you comprehend jurisdiction, but land law is a very draconian. So, if you're going to kill someone, you're going to get hung too. Like you don't do that. But if someone's like stealing your livestock on your land and you shoot them, according to land law, that is 100% lawful. They shouldn't be on your land. Why are they taking your livestock? That is not okay. You don't get to covet your livestock or take them or take your wife or anything. Okay. We don't have, the land jurisdiction does not have these water courts, these probate courts where they're just, where the flag has the dead men. I'm gonna sneak this in there. When everybody's standing up like this, Billy, then all men are not equal. But the only time that men are equal, the only time that men and women are equal, the only time that everyone is equal is when they're dead.
No argument here.
Okay. So just y'all can all marinate on that. If they're also we think that Democrats are insurrectionists. So there's that. So you can that should be a lot for everybody to think
all these people are polecats to me, but getting back to this central point, they basically went ahead. I mean, call me crazy. And at this point, Niti, whenever I bring this stuff up in the past, people will be like, oh, I'm unsubscribing. You're a conspiracy nut.
No, we're not. Actually, there are actual conspiracies going on. And also, there are approximately 12,500 people missing, presumed dead from Asheville, North Carolina alone. Okay, so just think about that. Thousands upon thousands are dead or missing throughout the 7-state disaster area. Billions of dollars worth of infrastructure have been lost or damaged. And in most areas, the storm damage from Helene is as raw today as the day it happened. And it isn't going to be neatly wrapped up next week or next year or next month. Okay, and so meanwhile, what do you hear from the national news?
Nothing.
Crickets. They're over there talking about there's 250 people dead. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? All of Chimney Rock's gone. All of the Bat Cave is gone. Excuse me? No, it's not just 250 people. And the attitude Governor Cooper has is, he's in charge of the British territorial state of state, pretending to be the head of state in North Carolina, and is best exemplified by his 3-day absence at the very beginning of the disaster. Who wants to talk about that? Is that a conspiracy?
No. I mean, you know what, Niti, I'm with you every step of the way, but when you get down to brass tacks on this, look, for all the people out there, you sent this article earlier, and a lot of this stuff I would already know on the top of my head because I got to memorize this stuff for all the people out there that say, oh, you're a conspiracy nut. But, just based on this latest article, which basically overlays with the work of Dane Wigington from Geoengineering Watch, who just happens to be a friend of mine, and he was on the show not long ago. As far back that we know of 1905, in fact, there are records even prior to that, patents. If there weren't patents on it, I'm talking of weather warfare that they were able to do. Yeah. Moisture accelerator makes rain for LA, floods San Diego, May 1905. Then he got Vincent Schaefer, Irving Langmuir, and Bernard Vonnegut. 1946, Project Cirrus, which a whole lot of folks know about. I could go on and on and on. In Vietnam, Operation Popeye, which they were flooding the Ho Chi Minh Trail with. All these different things that have unfolded. And then here we are, Dane Wigington's work, and that's why I recommended that everybody go back there. And folks, if you wonder why I'm still talking about this and why Niti's talking about it too, look, we just had a freaking bomb. And when I say a bomb, I'm talking like the equivalent of several nuclear bombs that just the energy of which we had all of the water that goes over Niagara Falls in 2 years land in this area in 2 freaking hours. Thousands still missing, and nobody's talking about it. But you want to call me a conspiracy nut, or, oh, we just need to move on. No, we don't need to move on. We need to.
This was an attack on our nation state.
Thank you.
This was an attack on our nation state. And any man who's out there who's not a mouse needs to stand up.
Well, I mean, most of the guys right here, I mean, like my son often says, William, he says, Mom, you know what? This is the problem with most of the men. First of all, most of them ain't built like your husband, which, by the way, probably put on another 20 pounds of muscle since I saw him last. I mean, the dude is built as hard as 3 times 9, but I digress. Most of the guys in Asheville don't look like him. They don't look like me. Most of the people over there, like my son said, you know what, Mom, I think you can beat up about 90% of the women in Asheville and about 95% of the men. So as far as where the men are at around there, well, maybe you need to take your, okay, Niti, I'm going to hand it back over to you before I say some stuff.
Let's not diminish the men. They've been emasculated. This is a fact. All of this is going back. Let's just focus on who is the real enemy here, friends. The real enemy is the corporatocracy. Okay. We're the government. We're the people. We are actually here. Okay. The Americans are here. They call us the silent majority. When you're listening to mainstream and they're saying the silent majority, what they're talking about is the actual real Americans. Okay. That's what they mean. There are real Americans. We are here. We are in power. We are doing what we're doing. It is a grassroots movement because look, the enemy has been running our school system. They're running our centralized paradigm. Okay. And so if they're running the military industrial complex, if they're running the government, if they're running the schools, if they're running this is out, there's 3 governments at all times. We haven't been given a proper education, friends. So we have a British territorial, which is the Tories. Okay. We have the federal government, which actually is our contract government, which is made up not just of Americans, but of anybody, because America, the land, has multiple nations on it. Not just the 50 states, but we have Native American tribal nations. We have multiple nations, and we are a people at peace. We are of love. Okay. On America. It was Amorica. Armorica is actually how you say it. And Armorica was based on love. Amor. Okay. And we were also armored under God. Okay. Because we chose God as our king. Let's not forget who we are. Well, we've forgotten because they trained us out of it. Okay. They trained us out of it. So let's just get back to that. They have taught us what Hitler said I believe it was Hitler, that you don't want the enemy to educate your children.
No. Malcolm X actually said only a damn fool would allow his enemy to educate his children.
Well, Hitler also said something. Okay, well, there's many people, but Malcolm X
probably had a different way of saying the very same thing. But it's true. I don't care who says it.
Right. Whoever said it, I think many men have said it. You don't want your enemy to get hold of your progeny. You don't want them educating your progeny. And currently it's a shame. We have to re-educate ourselves. Okay. Because we were all misled. We were usurped, friends. We were usurped at the time of the Civil War. And I mean, right now we just got to hurry up and get to where we're at because we just were attacked here on North Carolina. North Carolinians cannot take this line down is what I'm trying to say. We need the truth. And for that, we need the test results. So we needed to get the test results. I mean, back to the lab problem, it's the same thing as the custom processing problem. They don't have very many of them, you guys. And they don't have very many of them that can run the level of tests that we want to get run. Also, before somebody throws Mike Adams out there at us one more time, I just want y'all to know, if he actually has the ability to run the tests, he's not interested in running the tests. His lab isn't calling anybody back. But I don't think they actually have the capability to do the level of soil and water testing that we need done. So again, not diminishing him, not saying anything about him, just letting y'all know I really am not sure his lab has the ability to do the testing that is required.
You think you could contact the brother and tell him something? Because everybody in this audience has been reaching out to him. And honestly, if Niti can't contact you, y'all, you ain't on this planet.
Well, I called his lab just as a customer, because we are pulling samples. We need the samples tested. Do you want money? I don't know. I mean, he's in business. So we called the lab. And they've never they don't return calls. They don't return answers to, I filled out whatever their contact form was. So if you're trying to use his lab, just like anybody would want to do business, Billy, you and I have a lot of friends. And one of the really good friends that we have in common is Jack Spirko. One of the things I love about Jack is Jack's like, I can't stand somebody who's in business and then they don't run their business.
Thank you.
What is happening? So,
story of my life.
All I know is that he has a lab that is his lab. Okay. I called the lab. I communicated with the lab every way that I've ever been able to communicate. We were happy to pay the lab. Okay. It's not like we're asking for favors. We're not asking for an interview with Mike Adams. I don't need to talk to Mike. I remember when Mike was just, the health ranger. Okay. And I remember before that when he was really just trying to figure podcasts out. So, whatever. All I know is that I don't think he can do the testing. And
well, you know what?
Just want y'all to know that. That's
maybe you can't do the testing, but do the courtesy of
responding.
Yeah, but this is where Niti is incredible, y'all, because I go to her and I got my hat in my hand. I'm like, man, folks, if you think you got a free country, if you think everything is cool, let me just explain how difficult this is. You might think, well, how hard could it be? Dane Wigington, the guy who runs Geoengineering Watch, couldn't even find me a freaking reliable lab who would give us honest test results. I'm out here reaching to everybody, and the only person that could help me out was Niti. Not only did she find, I don't know how much we want to go into this now, Niti, until we get the results, because I don't want to.
No, he said ixnay on the talking about it until he's like, don't talk about something we don't. He does not believe in speculation, friends.
Right.
So we're not speculating anything. We're not going to speculate the cost. We're not going to speculate everything. We know. Listen, you guys. This is really expensive testing. Everything about it is very expensive because it's the same thing as processing livestock. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because there aren't any. And so when there's not very many and there's not so many people that know how to do the work, it's just expensive. And I mean, thanks corporatocracy. They didn't want us to be able to do this kind of testing because they didn't want us to have answers. They never want us to have the truth because, they think that morality is relative. And this is ridiculous. No, morality is based on truth. Like this desk. I know it's a desk. I don't need you, my authority figure, to come and tell me that this is a desk. Okay. It's a desk. And so this is the way they trick us. This is the way they stifle us. This is the way that they keep us from knowing what the truth is. And yeah, it is 100% pure evil, Sheila. This is evil. Did you guys watch Superman, the first one?
Oh yeah. Tell them about this. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
When you blew me away with this one. They got to hear it. Now,
okay, friends, listen to this. Okay. So let me tell you, they use the television program, the corporatocracy. Okay. They use the television programming and movies to put you on notice. Okay. This is a lawful thing. I just want y'all to know that we are operating under ancient Roman civil law. That's a different conversation. We're not going all the way into there, but they have to notice you about what it is that they're doing. A lot of people know this is, you hear people saying, oh, the Satanists have to tell you what they're doing. Yeah, but in Roman civil law, you have to tell everybody what you're doing. And you have to be put on notice because you have to participate. All right, friends. So on Superman, the first one, Lex Luthor, remember Lex Luthor had his plan, his, $100 million plan or whatever it was. And so if you look at the maps on his plan, when he's revealing the plan that, he wants to basically divide the center of America, like the North American continent.
I remember the scene. He's telling Miss Tessmacher.
Yeah. He's telling her, like, we'll have more oceanfront properties, and then he wants to just get rid of California altogether. And I forget why he wanted to get rid of California, but he told us why. And then he wanted to have like a different oceanfront. I think he wanted to get rid of the Rockies or something. Like, I have to rewatch the film because I don't remember, but it was a long time ago. But I just remember that the Mississippi, but also there's a cut in between, right at North Carolina, y'all. There's this horizontal cut that separates the northern states from the southern states on this side of the Mississippi, because that's how many oceanfront properties this lunatic wanted, right? Well, guess what, y'all? They hit us right there firmly. They hit this one spot and it made a perfect line. And you guys can see it on the map where Chimney Rock and everything's gone, right? You can see it. What you don't know, friends, is that there is ancient, well, there's okay, we got to go back. We got to go back again. So the Appalachian chain that's on North Carolina, that portion of it was one of the first land masses that immersed out of the water when land was being formed on the earth. Okay. And so as a side effect of that, North Carolina has a very unique topography. We have a little bit of every type of topography on this one incredible, powerful nation state of ours. Right. And Billy, I think you can attest to it. We have everything from jungle areas to, so we have that strange jungle style climate all the way to the sand hills. And, we have everything in between: the clay, the gold, the oil, the crude oil, everything, including, but not limited to, precious gems, and we have the largest diversity of plant material outside of any other place on earth. And when they cut where they did, there was our groundwater. Now, this is the part that I don't have enough evidence for, so take this part with a grain of salt, okay? But supposedly, our groundwater used to exit through the Gulf, and now it is exiting to the Atlantic. I don't have full confirmation on that, but everything else that I'm telling you about, we have confirmation about. But there was a deterioration going on under the soil, under the ground a little bit. And when they hit where they hit, it would cut a line. Not to mention the resources that are just under there. I mean, and those are many. They're not just, they're talking about the lithium, but there's a lot more, y'all. There's a lot more. And I sent you the recording, Billy. I know you don't know how to put it up on the thing, but friends.
She basically said, look, I know you're a technological dope, which is true.
I love you, Billy. I love you, Billy. And you know what? Maybe I can do it. I don't know.
No, I don't know what
better you are. But like, I can't talk and do these things at the same time anyway, whatever I do. I can.
Yeah, but when you get down to brass tacks on a lot of this stuff, I mean, somebody's asking, well, cite your sources. And I understand that. Look, check out the Superman. Look, there was a whole lot of predictive programming that goes on in movies, whether it was the Batman shooting, whether the Sandy hoax thing, whatever the case may be, all of this stuff. Yeah. Well, from the satanic realm, it's called lesser magic. They have got to reveal to you. If you think these people are Satanists, folks, from the top of my head, I guarantee I could fill volumes for all the people that want to say, well, where's your evidence? Yeah, I could do that show.
Well, how about this? No. How about this, friends? Okay, why don't y'all go study Roman civil law? This is very easy. This is something these people can look up. Okay, go look up law merchant. When you look up law merchant, it is the mirror image of land law, which is merchant law. Okay, we do merchant law on the land. They do law merchant on the water jurisdiction. Anybody out there who comprehends jurisdiction will get what I'm saying. And this is something you can look up. Okay, so this isn't just some airy-fairy, something I just made up in my mind. I mean, I want you to go and find this and prove me wrong. I want you to go find and go look up Roman civil law. You can do that. This is real. This isn't something I just made up. It's not just something that I'm coming up with. Okay. Look it up. Look up law merchant. This is a real thing. Study it. Learn ancient law, friends. You should learn it because we are operating in ancient law. And so when you operate in law merchant, then it is important for you to notice whoever it is that you are soliciting for business. Soliciting. This is law. This is a legal term. Solicitation is a legal term. Attorneys are solicitors. Okay. If you don't know that, well, then you have a lot of learning to do. And I don't mean it like I'm smart and you're dumb. I just mean it like, hey, I had to study this and learn it because, friends, I was trying to figure out how was I proclaimed by the USDA and the FDA and the CDC to be a self-proclaimed governing body. How? Because they kept coming to me saying, we need to inspect you. And I was like, nope, you have no jurisdiction here. Nope, I'm not letting you in. Nope, I'm not participating. No, I'm not going to comply. I do not comply. I do not comply. I do not. If you know anything about me, friends, I was the first rogue food leader to speak at Joel Salatin's Rogue Food Conference that he and John Moody put together, and we launched it in 2020. We had our very first Rogue Food Conference in 2020, and I was the first speaker. And I was sharing with them how the USDA and the FDA and the CDC, they sent me a letter saying that I was a self-proclaimed governing body. And at the time, I kind of was offended by that because, you know, I'm a good girl and I do a good job and I'm not trying to, you know, do anything illegal and unlawful, you know. I'm trying to do a good job. What I learned is Americans, we declared independence. Do you remember that?
No, I don't think. No, Niti, have you forgotten? We live in the United States of amnesia. Nobody remembers anything. That's
the U.S. Corporation has trained you to believe that we stand under the Constitution. No, no, no. There's 3 constitutions and we wrote them. There's 3 constitutions and we wrote them. We stand under the Declaration of Independence, you guys. We actually have our freedom because we bled at during the Revolutionary War, and we are not going to bleed for that freedom again. There were dead bodies up against that flagpole that held our flag up. The reason our flag is never to touch the ground is because when it touches the ground, you lose. Billy, you're former military. You know that, right? You don't let the flag hit the ground.
Yeah, the only thing hitting the ground these days are all these people dead in the middle of Western North Carolina, and everybody's basically forgotten about it. And I get people emailing me saying, hey, you know, how long are you going to go on about this? I'm going to do
until they get it. Until
exactly.
you comprehend the truth, friends. Y'all need to comprehend that we stand under the Declaration of Independence and over the 3 constitutions. The first constitution was written for the federal subcontractor. The second constitution was written for the British subcontractor, and that was our relationship with Great Britain back when we only had 13 colonies because we didn't have a navy, y'all. We didn't have one. And we needed a navy. If we wanted to participate in commerce and we wanted protection on the high seas and in the, you know, in the waterways, we needed protection. We needed a navy. And so we contracted with the British Territorial for their navy to protect us so that we could operate in commerce. And so that was the second constitution. The third constitution was with the Pope. Because guess what, friends? The Vatican and the Pope run the postal service. And the post office is a court. The post office is a court. It is a bank. It is what, I mean, it's not just how you get your mail, friends. That's all your land patents and land grants and all of the copyrights and everything goes through the postal court. There's a lot going on here. I don't think people are even going to know what I'm saying.
No, Niti, I tell you what, we better
Let's get back to our main point. Should we get to the point of what's going on in North Carolina or?
Well, we'll get there, right? But real quick, folks, we'll have to have Niti back to unpack some of this stuff because there's at least 5 different things that will require their own episodes. And I know a lot of people are scratching your heads right now and you're feeling like, man, I never heard this stuff before. Well, I never did either at some point in my life, and neither did Niti. Folks, when you understand this esoteric knowledge, and it is esoteric, it's occulted, meaning that it's hidden from you on purpose. Once you unpack this stuff, but it's going to require subsequent programs where we can go into this. She's able to wet your beak right now, but if you go check her out on her YouTube channel and her podcast, you're going to find out a little bit more. Now, Niti, let's circle back to one more thing. Okay, you brought up the weather weapons, which I think we can, chapter and verse, I think we can prove. Now, ultimately, this is one giant land grab. And if you overlay it with the information you were talking about, it's not just lithium. It's all the other. We live in the richest, densest, some people would say even the oldest part of the earth, depending on which philosophy you come from. I don't know necessarily that I subscribe to all of that, but I do know that the Appalachians is considered by most geologists the oldest mountain range on the planet. So with that understanding, it's also believed that, like you said, every single thing, it's not just lithium, it's every single thing you can imagine. They're up in them there hills that I happen to live in. And it just seems like one giant land grab. Now, let me preface my question by saying this. It wasn't long ago that an intrepid researcher dropped into my lap all of this information that came out of upstate South Carolina over the last year and a half, and I've provided all the receipts in previous programs that all of the permits for all of these lithium battery operation plants were all 4 different counties in upstate South Carolina over the last year and a half, as if they knew something was about to jump off up here, as if it was going to be a giant land grab from western North Carolina and East Tennessee, where we could put this lithium maybe on the first thing smoking down to South Carolina to turn them into batteries under this new economy for a bunch of cars that nobody wants to buy anyway. By and large, I mean, yeah, you see some Teslas out there and you see some other things.
You mean the microwaves, friends? Y'all don't be driving those electric cars. They're microwaves. You're going to get sick.
Niti, I put just so you know, this is another thing altogether to that point. For all of you people out there driving them electric cars, okay, I'm a journeyman electrician, been one for 27 years. Check this out. I went out there with my RF meter, and there was a lady over at Whole Foods. She was in a Tesla. She was over there charging this thing up. I went up to her, and I knew this was going to be bizarre because, you know, you got this brown dude that just rolls up, and I forgot, man, I'm in Asheville. If I asked this lady if I could drive off with it, she'd probably let me do it anyway. So I went up there. I said, "Hey, ma'am, I got this device here that will tell you how much electronic magnetic field you're getting hit with right now. You mind if I test your car?" She had the door shut on this thing. And it was pegging this. I'm going to have to do it again and actually catch this on video. But it was weird enough to ask her. It was going to be twice as weird if I said, "Hey, can I do this and film you at the same time?" But I'm telling you what, if you think the guys in Asheville lost their masculinity already, I'm telling you what, there ain't nothing left of them kishkas left after you're driving in one of these things, because you are being Kentucky fried up in this thing. That was without it being underway. It was sitting there charging, and through the door, it was blowing this thing off the charts.
Yeah. I mean, it's really dangerous, friends. And you know, for what, Billy? For what? You make this electric car with gasoline, y'all. You make it with gas, okay? You charge it with electricity, which is produced with gas. There's a gas generator powering the electricity. Just use the gas. What in the world, y'all? Just use the gas. Also, you know, well, we could have a whole episode about how crude oil is not
It's abiotic.
yeah, it's not a
Earth produces
not dinosaur remains,
no.
y'all. It's not. It's actually regenerative, and we have plenty of it just on North Carolina. We don't even need it from anywhere else. We don't need it from the middle of the country. We don't need it from Saudi Arabia. We don't need it from anywhere. We have it here.
And folks, for those out there that are thinking, okay, she's full of nonsense, well, check out the work of Colonel Fletcher Prouty and where they came up with peak oil and why they came up with the peak oil, because they had to make it look like a diminishing resource when there's never been a fossil found anywhere in the places where they're drilling. So just on the face
Scarcity.
of it.
The scarcity mindset is the same as the victimhood mindset, friends. You listen, they've tried to train us into believing that we are less than, that we aren't everything. I want you to know something, y'all. You are important and you matter. And you were born worthy beyond belief. You have the power within you to create worlds. With our thoughts and our meditation and our focus, we create our world. I mean, listen, y'all, this isn't some foo-foo stuff. I mean, I told my children, Billy, that I create my reality, right? And they were just like, "You're so crazy, Mom." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." I had an idea that I thought it would be a really good idea to do a podcast. So then I started buying the things. I started getting the mic. I started getting the computer. I started, it felt good, right? I had a thought, I had an emotion, and I was like, ooh, this is a good idea. This feels good. And I started getting all the things together. And then what? I took action, friends. That's the triangle. The triangle represents masculine energy. Like I took action. I did it. And so I created the podcast. That means I created my own reality, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I mean, we create our own things all the time. I decided that I was going to go to Tennessee one time because Billy was going to be somewhere and I wanted to meet Billy. And I made a plan because it seemed like it was a good idea. And I went there and guess what?
Yeah, but you know what, Niti, you're unusual in the most positive way, and the people that run in our circles, and many of the people right now in this chat, and the people listening to this, you're unusual, and I'm saying that in a positive way because the difference is between Niti and a lot of other folks out there is that all, like she says, you can create your own realities. Think about this: all dreams must be implemented with deeds in order to make them reality. So you got to put foot to butt on a lot of this stuff. And at the end of the day, we're going to require everybody's participation out there. But Niti, we're getting close to the end of this, but I want you to basically go into how you suspect this is almost certainly a land grab.
It's been confirmed, y'all. I mean, bear in mind that if these pikers don't have a grant or valid use permit issued by the actual state legislature prior to 1860, they have no basis to claim any ownership interest in any of the land or soil of any state that's impacted by Hurricane Helene. There is no federal authority that they have. They cannot steal your land. Okay. Also bear in mind that Governor Cooper was absent without leave for 3 days. Okay. Do not allow any of these federales make you believe that they can take anything from you. If someone's trying to take your land and you live in Western North Carolina, I want you to call me and I will help you. Tell them to stand down because they will not, they have no jurisdiction over you. They have no jurisdiction over you. And you don't have to stay there if it's been poisoned until after we can remediate it. And Billy's got a plan for remediation, right, Billy?
Yeah, we're working on it. And this is the beauty that the good Lord has opened up in front of me, y'all. I mean, you heard me on this podcast, some of the most loyal listeners out there. You know that I felt like, I just felt like this was just too much for me. Like, where do I even start? How do I even do it? And then I prayed that, Lord, please just open up opportunities and put people in front of me. And then I hear from Niti out of nowhere. And she's like, what can I do to help? And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, just like that. And I'm like, I can't find a freaking lab. And then I won't go through any details right now as far as the resources that she has available, but they are extraordinary. And then all of a sudden, Niti opens up a whole constellation of options that I didn't know I had. And then you guys that listen, you know that I came back. It was a program after that, or the one even after that, where I'm like, good night, man. I mean, it's amazing how many doors have just been opened. And I ask for your prayers, just like I did at the beginning of this program, because I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And you people are incredible in so many different ways. Now, I am going to be reaching out to y'all here before long because I'm trying to exhaust every free availability. I know folks have less money than they ever have before, okay? So I'm doing everything I possibly can to exhaust everything I need. But look, the testing costs money. The people that came out here to do the testing, I don't want any of them doing this, volunteering their time. I want to pay them, and I'm going to have to come to each and every one of you out there again one more time, I suspect, to pay, if for no other reason than testing. I'm hoping that I can do the remediation efforts without getting a whole lot, or without having to ask for a whole lot of money. But I need to pay for the people that came out here. So I'm going to be hitting y'all up about his this before too long, and I'm going to ask you to spread it far and wide. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, the good Lord has opened so many doors, and I cannot be more thankful for the considerable efforts that Niti puts out there, folks. Like I said before, even Joel told me. I remember being at, excuse me, I was at a event one time, Niti. I don't know if I ever told you this. I was in there. I barely knew you at the time, but I was so thoroughly impressed with, all the other things I was learning from you in terms of freedom, things that I'd only heard before, and then you had confirmed and then taught me some other things. I remember being at a place, and I'm talking to Joel and where the speaker's tent is or whatever it was. And I said, hey, yeah, I met this lady named Niti. He says, oh yeah, I know Niti. And then he says, and then he just starts shaking his head. He's like, if she's ever on your trail, he's like, basically, if she's ever on your trail, bro, you just better hang it up. Because I mean, basically, if folks, that's what I'm saying. She is such a bulldog when it comes to fighting injustice for all of us out there, and for so many people that she doesn't talk about, for all the people that don't have a voice, or you need, that's why I said, and I'm not joking, y'all, when I said, hey, every superhero has an origin story, what's yours? I knew that everybody out here would resonate with her, because she is a powerful force. And if you're ever on her radar, you better hope it's in a good way, because if it's bad, man, the Texas Rangers ain't got nothing on Niti, y'all. And I could tell you some stories, man, for all the incredible things that she's done. Niti, one more time. I know that we didn't go into the full extent of where we were intending to go, but I know I can hear an amen, a collective amen from all the people out there that heard you. But one more time, tell everybody where they can find you, and we're going to have you back to unpack some other things. You opened up so many doggone cans of worms that we're going to have to do shows exclusively on those. And maybe we can simulcast both of our podcasts. We tried to do it this time, but Michelle wasn't here, and I'm a complete dope when it comes to tech, y'all. So, yeah, tell everybody where they can find you.
It's okay. If you go to the Food Church link tree, you guys, then that link tree has all my links on it. And so you should be able to just, figure that out. It's not complicated. Just go to Linktree and then do Food Church, and it should find me somehow. But I really appreciate you so much, Billy, and I appreciate your energy. I appreciate the way that you have these lively conversations, and you do such a good job. And it's really a tough job that you do, and I wish that I was better at it like you. I try to be better at it. But I get sucked into my world over here where I'm dealing with these mamas and the families, and you guys, we're doing everything that we can to save the babies. Everything that we're doing is for the babies.
Well, for the people that want to donate to you, and the Food Church and the things that you're doing, Niti, is there a way for people to do that?
I haven't ever asked for it, I never really thought about it, but you guys, this work that we're doing, this testing and everything that we're doing is very expensive. And if you feel inclined to do something about it, then, I have a Cash App at Niti the Pharmacist, but I didn't, if you feel inclined to put some money towards that, then that's fine. My husband is determined to get to the truth, and we haven't been talking a lot about how we're doing that, because apparently, we're on the X. Everybody knows that we're trying to get the truth. Every direction that we try to walk in to get it starts to get blocked. So we figured if we just don't say too much about it, that would be better and smarter until we have the answers, clean answers, because we know that nature can heal itself. We know that, like Billy, you have the knowledge along with, so many other, we know the permaculture can remediate everything that has happened. We know nature can heal itself if we just push it in the right direction and allow it. We also need to allow it rest, y'all. That's the other thing. Listen, one of the things I wanted to make sure to go over on this call was, there's a lot of advantage being, a lot of people are taking advantage of this situation, and they're trying to act like everybody should send a bunch of stuff somewhere, and they're hoarding things. And it's not like it's actually helping anyone. And let's be honest, y'all. I am praying that the test results don't show very dangerous levels of too much stuff, but we already know that there's
Yeah.
people bleeding. We already know that animals are dying. We already know that there's people getting sick. We need to know what it is that we're facing so that we can do the correct remediation. You can't guess. You have to test on these things. And so once we have that, then there's a remediation process. And then tell me if I'm wrong about this, Billy, but my husband was saying there's a bunch of people out there who are mucking out their houses and trying to just go ahead and rebuild them. Even Bear was reporting about how they were just trying to go ahead and rebuild something. Y'all, you can't use that old framework if it has poison in it, because you will. What I don't want to hear, Billy, is a bunch of people dying of radiation poisoning and cancers, 5 years, 10 years down the line, because that's what the corporatocracy wants. They're like, if they don't die right now, they will be dead by 2030. This agenda that they have, it's for 2030, friends. And like, they're trying to do this thing. And if nothing else is enough evidence for anyone who wants to have that nerve to call you a conspiracy theorist, there's billions with a B, billions of dollars being handed over to support a proxy war in the Ukraine. And Americans in 7 states of the union are abandoned by the government corporations and left to freeze in a morass of mud, downed trees, ruined roads, fallen bridges, and polluted water. And these cretins they're not providing aid. They're not providing any aid for that. That's evidence. If you don't see that, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't know what we have to do to open your eyes for you to be able to see the truth of what's happening. But there is no cognizance in Washington, D.C. or anywhere else about, how just devastated this whole region is. And everyone was paid to not look. Well, the watchers are watching, Billy.
That's right. And we're going to come out swinging when the time's right. But folks, we're going to ask for your help in the future. And I want to give a immense hat tip to my guest, Niti. We're going to tell everybody where to find her, because I know right now folks are absolutely, I'm hearing a collective amen when my phone's blowing up. I know that we got an awesome guest on here. And as always, I knew she wouldn't disappoint. She is unbelievable, as everybody else can see out there. Folks, we're going to have her back, and we're going to talk about some other things that you don't know about that are definitely when I say occulted, I'm talking hidden. And she's an expert in so many incredible things. But go check her out. Check out her podcast. Until next time, y'all, stay alert, stay alive.
They don't want an individual just to carve a copy. True spitting that manicotti. Yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. Spitting kamikaze, got me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. Woo! They want to push me to the center like a subway want to spin up at the center of the next is me. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I will never bow down, 'cause I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior.